All right, today we are going to go over a prompting masterclass, how to make your prompts so much better, and we're going to develop a simple framework to do that. Let's get right into it. So the biggest problem that most people have with AI is that the outputs they are getting kind of suck, and that is because the inputs they are using also kind of suck. Very vague, inconsistent, not accurate, have no clear output goals. There is a lot wrong with the way people are prompting AI right now. So the experts, who are the actual foundational models, the people who are building things like ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini and all this kind of thing, basically say the same thing, which is to think of the AI as a junior level employee with bad memory and who needs their hand held through each process. But if you can build that hand holding into a system, you can effectively reduce a lot of the friction as it relates to getting very, very good outputs. So this is a very common prompt I see: write a listing description for a house, maybe a detail or two. But what we want to take that to is, you're a luxury real estate copywriter who specializes in waterfront properties. So you're giving it a lot more details, not only on what the AI is supposed to be doing, but what the output is that you want, right? So that's the biggest difference, and that's what we're going to go over here today, is how to structure your prompts. And then basically we want to structure your prompts so that they are useful and repeatable to you, so that you don't have to write a new prompt every time you go to an AI. You have a saved prompt for the housing description 100% of the time, right? So we're going to go over this in true real estate fashion. We are going to call it the home framework, which is the hero: what should the AI be? What role should the AI take? The outcome: what exactly are you looking to get from the AI? The materials: what do we need to give the AI to get that outcome? And then execute. So what should that output look like exactly? And then we're going to talk about iterating it forward, because 9 times out of 10, the first output is not going to be the best output. So this is built on research. This is a prompting style that is taken from a number of kind of the best practices that either key industry leaders are using, or, like I said, those foundational models have put out guides as to what they believe the best practices are, and they are, of course, the experts on that. So let's talk about the hero. Who should the AI be? What role is that AI filling? So role prompting is one of the most powerful ways to use system prompts, because it narrows the AI from a broad generalist to focusing on very key specific things. It gives it access to different thought patterns, different vocabulary, different expertise, different ways it's going to approach the various problems. So here are a couple of real estate roles to try. You can go over these, luxury copywriter, experienced buyer's agent, neighborhood expert. You can do other things as well. You can do interior designer, you can do stylist, you can do, terms expert. So the world is really wide open, and you should be focusing on figuring out exactly what the role is that you want to use the AI for. Outcome. So what do you actually want? Without clarity of outcomes, we have a real problem as it relates to getting quality outputs from the AI. Now, there's kind of 2 major ways to use the AI. You can use it to brainstorm, which is the outcome is getting an idea of what you want. Or if you already know what you want, you need to be able to communicate that to the AI. So we want to use action verbs and tell it what it needs to do to make this task successful, right? So we want to be writing, creating, analyzing, summarizing, building, and then, giving it really, really specifics on what it is to do. So, help me with this listing. What should I say to this client? Which is a fine way to start a conversation. You can get into that and iterate it forward, but you'll be a little bit more ahead if you say, write a 150-word description that emphasizes the renovated kitchen and mountain views. So the biggest thing that we can impart on AI is personal expertise that is not publicly available. So if you know that every time you write a description and it goes over 150 words, the interest on it falls off because people just aren't interested in reading that much, then you need to have that saved somewhere as your kind of internal reference. Materials. What does the AI need? So what does it need to create the best possible outcome for you? So this is going to get into a little bit of context engineering, very, very brief, but so kind of what details are you including? Are you including pictures? Are you including property details? Are you including images of things you need to change? Are you including reports? I will say here, this is something that you do not want to put private information into. I avoid putting confidential or personal information into AIs, but if it's going to be publicly available, then, obviously there's a lot more leeway to do that. Another strategy is few shot prompting, meaning that you are going to kind of give it some examples so that it knows exactly what to do. And that's actually one of the best ways to impart context is, hey, these are things that worked successfully in the past for me. Base your output on these. Then we have to execute. So how does the output look? What exactly are the actions that need taken, right? So again, we're specifying length, we're talking about tone, we're evaluating structure, we're looking at who our audience, and we're figuring out what the format is. So, and then there are also tools that we can apply so that if you use Notion, if you use HubSpot, if you use Salesforce, there are tools that we can apply that take these outputs and move them right into the tool. We're not going to get too deep into that in the prompting course, but that is something that we will cover. So again, it's an example format here. The fifth essential, and this is the thing that people forget about, right? Because most people think that the AI is magic. I put my stuff in, it did not give me the output I want back. What am I doing, right? So iterating is the end game, right? So the goal is to get to a place where you can iterate it forward so that it's exactly what you want, and then you can identify how you got there, and then you can build a process around that. So these are some phrases that help kind of move the ball forward. So you have to have that outcome in your mind, that clear outcome. So, you can make it shorter, make it more conversational, remove emojis, add more emotional language, use a pain-based hook. There are so many things that you can do to move this thing forward. One of my favorites is actually to tell it to rewrite this in a way that would be understandable to a fifth grader, right? Because simpler words, simpler context, it just is much less on people's brains because they're getting bombarded with people who are trying to sound smart a lot. The people who are really making an impact are making things as simple as they possibly can. So, and this is another thing that you can add to your prompts is actually asking the AI to help you, like I said, brainstorm a little bit and come up with the outcome. Figure out the clarifying questions so that oh, the AI took that in a direction that I didn't think it would take it in, but it asked me these clarifying questions and now it's kind of in place. So you want to use it as kind of a co-intelligence partner is the terminology that I'm hearing, which I really like, is to use it as kind of a brainstorming buddy, then an outcome buddy, and then an iteration partner, right? So chain of thought is another prompting style that just means let's think this through step by step, right? So like it breaks the problem down, the big problem that you have, into multiple small steps, and that's what AI is really, really good at managing, is very clear, defined, small steps. So the more complex the task, the more you want it to break it down into kind of bite-sized pieces. I have a prompt library that I'll be including with this, so every prompt follows the home framework. You can use them as is, you can build them to your business, because the one thing that we do know with real estate is there are a million ways to do it, right? And so what we want to do is we want to have a thinking framework in place, and this is why the prompting is so important, because if we have the ability to prompt, you can maneuver those prompts to however your business operates. If you do cold email, if you do cold calls, if you do professional groups and events, however your key method of getting clients is, if you understand how to prompt, you will be able to apply AI to that modality, right? And so these are just some simple prompts that you can kind of follow here. But this is, writing a listing description, real estate copywriter who specializes in creating compelling listing descriptions that sell homes quickly. Write a listing description that will attract qualified buyers and generate strong showing requests. Here are the property details, and here's the execution. So that kind of is a really, really simple way to apply this. And then again, you want to personalize this to you. So probably in the execute, you want to put things like maybe some sample emails that you wrote, writing style. Again, this is where you're imparting your expertise that the AI does not have. And that is the thing that separates people and makes the AI not sound robotic. It's what is your expertise. So cold lead re-engagement, kind of the same thing here. Social media batching, buyer consultation prep, listing presentation. And if you want, so the easiest way to grab these is I will have a resource for it coming out soon. But if you screenshot this like that, right, you can take that screenshot to an AI and ask it to transcribe it, or even ask it to turn it into the prompt that you are looking for. So you want to save your best prompts. So when you find something that worked like a charm, got you that output, you iterated it, and now you're here at the output, you can then ask the AI to create the prompt that basically shortcuts that route, right? And then what you do is you save that prompt and you have it forever. So once you find something that writes your listing descriptions really well, you never have to write that prompt again unless you make a change to your process. And then you can change it in the prompt. And again, it's going to feed the AI much, much better information. So I recommend, keeping some type of simple format. I highly recommend keeping some type of versioning, because you may end up changing the prompt and then being like, oh, this is now performing much worse. Let's go back and look at what changed, how it changed, and what we need to revert back to. So your action plan today is understand the home framework, save it somewhere that you'll see it, and just use that as your prompting guideline. Tomorrow, I would recommend using the prompt to try to solve one of the things you're doing, using the home style prompt to solve one of the tasks that you're already working with. Try to get to a point where you have one great prompt. Don't try to build a bunch of things, because then you never complete the bridge, right? Build whole bridges that get you what you want, and then go back and start the next one. So build your listing description prompt, then go back and build your social media prompt, then go back and build your cold email prompt. Iterate them until you have something useful. But the goal this month is to try to get 3 to 5 prompts that you're using regularly that are saving time. The other really, really good thing about doing it this way is it allows you to scale to your team members, right? So if you're the only person on your team that's really, really good at writing listing descriptions, or even if you have an assistant that's really, really good at writing listing descriptions, or a marketing department that's really, really good at writing listing descriptions, there is a bottleneck somewhere if there's only one person on your team who's the best at it. I'm not saying that not everyone can do it. I'm saying if you have one person who is head and shoulders above everyone else, then what you want to do is you want to try to take that skill and apply it broadly across the entirety of your organization. And that is how you do that, by creating scalable kind of prompting frameworks. Here's the home checklist. So did I tell the AI who to be? Did I specify what I want? Did I give context? Did I describe the output? Am I ready to iterate? That's all I got. If you have anything else, let me know. But this is a 15-minute guide to taking your prompts to the next level, really, really getting higher quality outputs and being able to save time on those outputs because you have that prompt in a library ready to go. Thank you for your time. My name is Ryan. This is AI Acceleration. Hope you enjoyed the prompting masterclass.